All right, I'm the flatratemaster, and let's talk about Diag waiters are a sign the shop you work at sucks. Now, this topic actually comes from an episode of the ASOG Podcast. Now, I don't actually listen to their podcasts. Nothing personal, Lucas. I don't listen to podcasts. Anybody's. Not Matt Fanslow. It's not a medium that I actually like indulging in. At the shop, I listen to music, and it's just background noise. Something like a podcast, I'd want to pay attention to it, and it's just not something I do. You know, when I'm driving home, I don't want to get peed off at, shops being run stupid. I got enough line of traffic to deal with that, so that's enough for me. So I don't listen to podcasts, but I did watch some segments on Facebook, and that's where this kind of story comes from. So let's talk about the quick story. Now, I've only seen parts of it because snippets on Facebook, but guy went to work for a shop. The onboarding process was garbage, one part of the podcast, and the second part was a waiter Diag story. Now, that's a red flag for me right there.
Waiter Diag.
Okay.
Two words that should never be together. I see David shaking his head.
I've heard a lot of shop owners talk about doing exactly what he's getting ready to talk
Waiter Diags?
about. Oh, let him.
It gets worse.
Let him tell the story. Let him tell the story.
It started out with a hybrid Toyota, and it wasn't a Prius. I want to say it was a Camry or a Corolla, and it had a lack of cooling complaint. It was an AC system complaint. I found those fault codes. I went and looked up service information, trying to find, is there bulletins? I'm checking the basics, right? Advisor was coming back and forth, and I was relaying, hey, this is what I'm finding, this is what I'm seeing. Pressure's on, you tick, talk. Yeah. You get a 1 hour, and now we have multiple things that are related. Cooling systems related to the HVAC system. I'm basically run out of my hour, and I say, hey, I need more Diag time. And there's one thing that I've missed in my 1 hour. Has anyone thought of a thing that I've missed as far as checking basics?
Get into the limited details I know of the story, but it's like red flag, red flag, red flag. He pulls the car in, starts diagging it, going through his process. The service writer keeps bugging him about it. Red flag. First one was actually a waiter Diag. He gets to the end of his hour, and has not diagnosed it yet. And considering he mentioned the cooling system a couple times, I think I have an idea, but it's a guess. I'm sure my viewers will let me know if I'm right. But anyway, he requested another hour of Diag, and, well, he missed something. He missed something because he was under pressure. Probably a cooling fan that wasn't working, which would be my guess. But again, just a guess. I didn't listen to the whole podcast, and I don't, I wouldn't for this kind of video anyway, because I don't want it to contaminate my thoughts. Now, let's first talk about where waiter Diags came from. And this is a theory, so I'm sure the dealer techs in the audience will kind of probably chime in on this, but dealerships. If you think about it, they've added, Starbucks, coffee, snacks, lounges, TV, Wi-Fi access. And that's primarily because the owners are salesmen. Very rarely do you find a dealership owner that has a service background. 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, they have a sales background. So their thought is, they wait, they go wander into the showroom and buy the new shiny. And that has trained a lot of people to wait on their cars. And in the aftermarket, that makes things a lot more difficult. Like our waiting room is tiny compared to a dealership. Yes, we offer free drinks, coffee, but no TVs. We discourage waiters here. Now, we have on occasion had waiter Diags. It is generally not something we do. Now, let's talk about a couple of the exceptions, a waiter comeback, where a technician had to come back, customer's going to wait on it, see if, like they did a, XYZ and forgot to plug a sensor in or something like that. It needs more time. We had actually that occur today. We had a customer come pick up their car, and the technician unfortunately missed a leak on the AC system. He was out sick today, so I took the car in, found it. Yes, it was empty. She had already had AC repairs done, and it was completely warm. There was no denying that, yeah, we got a problem here. So I brought it in, I found the leak, got the part coming, and well, we fixed it, got it back. She did not wait. We Ubered her home. Now we also have porters here, so we can, get them in a car, and if nothing else, the porter can drive them home either in their car or another car, but we can get them home and get them back to the shop when their car is ready. So let's talk about the big pitfalls of waiter Diags. Service writers do not understand the amount of stress that puts on a technician. Waiter oil changes ain't no big deal. You can bust those out, but you figure you're doing complex diagnostics under a gun. Now, not just flat rate gun, because this applies to hourly techs, salary techs, as well as flat rate techs. You pull it in, you start going through your process. You look over, might see them in the window. You go up there to talk to the service writer about get some more information. Clock is ticking. And as a technician, you feel it. What happens? Mistakes. You miss stuff. Like that story from ASOG. He was under pressure and missed something obvious. I don't blame him. It's something that happens to everybody that gets put under pressure, is they make mistakes. And that's one of the worst things you can do when it comes to high-level diagnostics. It's not something that should be done, ever. It's just a bad idea. Now, dealer techs who are used to waiters, they're probably like, whatever. Paul, Billy, they're like, whatever, and just go about their business, and they're going to be fine. Generally, like when we have something like that come in on the rare occasion that it happens, and sometimes it's just literally the customer will not leave. The service writers will come to me and go, I've got this waiter, they're not leaving, I can't get them to take an Uber, I can't get them to take a ride. Can you help me out? 99% of the time, unless it's involving another tech, I take it because I'm least likely to stress out about it. Because I'm going to take my time and figure it out right. It doesn't matter to me that there's a waiter. It doesn't put me under stress. It just doesn't. Because you chose to wait on a diagnostic that could take 10 minutes or it could take 3 hours. That's the reality of diagnostics. Pull a car in, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Doesn't bother me to do waiter diagnostics. It bothers me to have waiter diagnostics. What I mean by that is I don't like that kind of atmosphere in the shop. I don't like, service writers bugging technicians. If I see a service writer bugging a technician too much, I'm going to say something. And it's the natural thing about diagnostics. You put more pressure on somebody, the more mistakes they're going to get. Same with trying to get a car done too fast. One of the biggest, arguments about flat rate. Oh, you rush through the repair and you don't check things. If you're a good flat rate technician, you're going to check things. But also, if you rush through things and you don't double check things, you're going to forget things. So you have to find a pace that works for you to make sure you quality control your work. And that's one of the things that quickly goes out of the window when you're doing waiter diagnostics is you start skipping steps, trying to get done in that, get that customer back on the road as quickly as possible. Now let's talk about the business aspect of it. It's just plain stupid. There's no way around it. A waiter diag is literally a pain in the butt for everybody involved. You got the service writer sitting there doing his job, managing all of his customers and, all the other stuff they do, answering the phone. You got Bubba Joe Bob sitting there in a chair, drinking the free coffee, staring at him. Or looking at his phone, looking up and staring at him, looking at his phone, staring at him, stuff like that. It makes for a poor atmosphere in the office, which is one of the reasons why a lot of the times those service writers get up from their desk and come bug you about getting the car done. Business-wise, so let's talk more pitfalls. More likely to have mistakes made. Again, going back to that ASOG podcast. He made a mistake because he was rushing through his process. The fact of life, the more you rush your people, the more mistakes are going to happen. Now let's talk about, the money aspect of it. Yeah, you might have pre-sold that hour diagnostic. Well, then you have to fix the car. Now here in Atlanta, where we have many, Worldpac deliveries a day and other suppliers, no, we might get parts in an hour. If you need a dealer part, it's 3-4 hours out or the next day. Or we send a porter to go get it, meaning it's still at least 2 hours out. That's a waiter waiting half a day in your shop. Interrupting the service writer's day. Text day is going to be interrupted because, he's got that waiter and it's over his head. Service writer is going to be stressing about it. You don't need that stress. You don't need that stress from that little bit of work you're going to get. Are they going to do the other stuff that's going to take 6 hours to do? Probably not. So are you really doing anything to benefit your shop by taking in waiter diagnostics? No, you just are creating more problems. Fact of life with waiters is you rarely actually make that much money on them because they're waiting. Yeah, you might get the occasional brake job, you might get the occasional filter, but you're not getting those big jobs. You're not getting those big tickets. Yeah, you might get some flushes, but they're not going to wait 6 hours for you to do control arms. They're not going to wait 10 hours for you to do an oil pan gasket. And a lot of times they're really hard to convert over to dropping their car off. They get tuned to, no, I can't do that. I got to have the car back. You're just costing yourself money. So I hope this video was helpful. As always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.